Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle Me in my series Freemasonry and Satanism. This is going to be a new book, series number 156. Moving on up on the numbers. 156 series in the series Freemasonry and Satanism, a name I chose after reading a lot of books, and it seems it's as good a name as any, as the Freemasons are all over the world, and apparently their deity is Lucifer, also known as Satan, and many other names, these gods of the Middle East and the world known thousands of years ago. Anyways, this book, the Anunnaki of Nibiru, you can see the Egyptian hieroglyphics on this book. Gerald Clark, New World Order, Man's Forgotten Creators, Enslavers, Destroyers, Saviors, and Hidden Architect of the New World Order, which includes activities from the secret societies, bringing us the New Age, New World Order, lots of chaos and anarchy, propaganda, wars, revolutions, false flags, 911, and so much more. Fear propaganda, biodiversity, sustainability, terrorism, pole shift, earthquakes, comets, Planet X, Nibiru, Nemesis, Dark Star, plagues, viruses. It's just hard to fathom it all. Electromagnetic pollution, electromagnetic warfare, weather control, weather warfare. So what is really happening? Why is there a lot of material out there? YouTube videos, books, pictures, press releases, so much talk about the Earth's sun having a binary twin, two suns apparently, solar systems with their own planets, and every 3,600 years they come near to each other and go like this. Or maybe one goes this way and one goes this way, but somehow they interact. So we are told. There's all kinds of pictures you can go out there and find. Go look on the internet, see YouTube videos, books, etc. People taking pictures. I've taken pictures. These pictures on the wall are my pictures. I have thousands of these using filters. And you can see the pink orb and then the bright dark thing in the middle. And apparently the bright dark thing using a filter is the actual sun you see. The pink orb in the back is the actual sun in a distance you don't see. Its rays hit our atmosphere, so it seems. So you don't see the actual sun, you see the effects of the sun on the Earth's atmosphere, glowing very bright, and it is sun's rays, and I guess when it hits the atmosphere, the electromagnetic field, at a certain point it heats it up or creates a light like a flashlight does on a wall. You don't see the beam coming from the flashlight going to the wall, and if you're pointing away from you, you don't even see the flashlight light itself. All you see is the effect on the wall, which lights the entire room or area. So I think the orange orb in these pictures is the source of the light, and the bright light you see right here is on a photograph comes out dark, is the light you see in the sky. So when people take a picture of it, you can see the smaller light to the right where my finger is, next to the sun. So there's a lot of this out there. Now, I've taken a lot of pictures myself, which we will look at in a second. But I thought we'd look at some of this stuff that's being promoted or created, kind of fear propaganda. Is it a legitimate warning? And they tell us it's coming from the area of Libra and the places in the sky if you watch videos. And it doesn't glow like our sun, but you notice our sun here doesn't glow either if the pink you see is the orb. It glows like a big amber. There's a coincidence I didn't think about. So this planet X, Nibiru, has its own sun called the Dark Star or Nemesis Destroyer. And it's not a yellow bright ball, it's an orange orb like you see in the picture here. So what is really going on? So if you were flying in a spaceship and you left Earth's orbit and looked at the sun, it would not be a bright light orb, it would be a red or yellow glowing ember. And when you talk about the religion or the Egyptian hieroglyphics, historic information etched in stone called stone tablets, you see these references to a dark star sun. Apparently, throughout history, in the last 50, 60 years, certain astronomers have reported that they sighted something after doing research and involved with even Zachariah Stitchins, who writes about this material. And apparently it's documented even back into the 1800s and even mentioned in the Bible. They called it wormwood. Here's a picture where they don't collide in parallel, they collide in a perpendicular. You can see the sun coming close to our sun from the top to the bottom. Not two sideways motions, but something like this. And of course a picture of our galaxy, so we are told how it is, with a gigantic yellow ball in the center, and the band around the gigantic yellow ball in the center of our galaxy. Some call it a black hole, glowing with bright lights, sucking in planets. But the band around it is our galaxy, and our sun with all the other suns and planets goes around that thing in millions of years. What is the truth? This is what they would have us believe. So lots of photos, Yahoo image site, put in Planet X, Nibiru, Nemesis, the Destroyer. Is there another solar system on its way with its own planets about to intersect our system? Is it already here? What does it look like? Like I said, you can find these pictures on Yahoo image site. And of course, during 2010, 2011, 2012, even the year 2000, there's been all this end of the world apocalypse. whether it was Elenon, Comet Elenon coming in our solar system, Comet Ison, I-Sun, get it? So if it's all fake, why are they doing it? Why, for the last 100 years, even with congressional hearings during the early 1900s, 1910, 1920s, they had hearings about communism and the spread of it around the world, and the spies and infiltrators into the United States. And they said they were infiltrating all aspects of our society, religious, education, economic, intending to change the way we all live into a more communist world. I suspect that's part of a world dictatorships by some peoples or entities who want to be the leaders of the world and worshipped, the aristocrats of the world. So is this just part of their propaganda, their educational deception to try to get the rest of us to believe this information? Since 2012 and before, as if anybody remembers, they used to have all kinds of fear-monger out there. About 2012, the Mayan calendar. Well, I was in Santa Fe, and I was doing my research there, and I was watching a video, and this guy was showing how he was using filters on his cameras, taking pictures of the sun. So I gave it a try, and I developed it into a little bit of artwork for myself, taking pictures of the sun. And I was able to move my camera around and move those dots around, which appeared to be some kind of reflection in my camera. Although sometimes there would be the third spot that did not seem to move around, was that the actual sun shining on our atmosphere, as we see in these pictures in the back. But this pink orb behind me is larger than the black thing you see in the sky, which we see as a bright light of the sun. We think is the sun, when actually the sun is millions of miles away, light year away. So what was it I was photographing? Again, the one light seemed to be fixed, like it actually might be there. The bright light in this picture is the effect of the sun on our atmosphere, and the two other dots I could move around with my camera from left to right depending on how I turn the lens. But that one dot seemed to be there quite regular, and even in these pictures here there was a black dot. You can almost see it right on there. So I wanted to get a baseline of what the sun looked like when I took pictures, because they said a change was coming. So I figured if I had these pictures here, which I've been taking every year since 2012, of course, I was photographing the sun and the moon during the recent eclipse, just keeping my database full of information. Just like I've been photographing and videoing the chemtrail sky spraying of chemicals in our sky. Should somebody ever say they haven't been doing it, they're going to start doing it, I would dispute that with my pictures. They have been doing it. Anyway, some of these pictures are quite spectacular artwork. A lot of people said I should make more posters like this. I was thinking about putting these pictures on an internet website, selling them for $1 each, so people could use them for a screensavers on their cell phones, iPads, computers. Some people even said they would be great on t-shirts. Some of them are beyond bizarre. Look at the black dot. The black spot in this picture is the bright light you see in the sky, which you call the sun. Behind it appears to be the real sun, which glows like a red amber. So I just wanted to point out, and of course you can go on Soho, SOHO.com, and they have satellites in the sky, so they tell us, that's constantly watching the sun. And whenever a planet passes by the sun, whether it's in front of it or behind it, you can see that bright light with the wings on it. That's what it looks like when it passes from left to right. Ironically, that's how they also depict Nibiru, with wings on it. So you can go see Soho, SOHO.com on the internet, and see the planets now or the movies, and watch these pictures and check back to the different dates last year, 5 years ago. Plug in the parameters. Just a fascinating education. Assuming we are intelligent beings and have curiosity in our minds, which a lot of people do. So there you have it, my research of documenting what the sun looks like since 2012. So many of us are aware that the Middle East has been under attack before 9/11 and after 9/11, of course. And the catalyst, the false flag like Pearl Harbor, was 9/11. Big, thick book. A lot of people are aware of what happened. And I think it's all intentional. Part of this effort to bring us this new religion and destroy Christianity. So what does it have to do with Planet X, Nemesis, another binary star to our sun? Is it true? And they have all these books. This guy was is from Brazil who wrote this book. He mails them out to people for free according to the website. You can see his name there and look it up. I did. He made this book 2003, second publishing. Then you got astral doorways. So you take the spiritual realm and the physical realm. So we've got two things to talk about, which to me are seriously connected. We are, in my opinion, spiritual beings in these biological bodies. So they've got astral doorways going into another dimension. Is this what the UFO and alien propaganda information is all about? People sighting things. Are there real entities living on planet all along? Do they live inside the planet? In caves? Have they been here all along and just living in remote places? In the Book of the Hopi talks about before the last great flood, some kind of beings came and assisted them to go underground or in the mountains to survive the great flood. And I've gone over books on these issues, and I will continue to go over books on these issues. But apparently all over the world, like Noah's Ark, there were people who were assisted to survive the great cataclysmic event on planet Earth. And a lot of us can look around. I live in the mountains of North Carolina right now. And apparently there was a great cataclysmic event on Earth. Numerous times, different mountain ranges have different ages. I live in the Appalachian Mountains, which are supposed to be the oldest mountains on the planet. Rocky Mountains are kind of newer. And I've been out there, and I can tell you, it looks like It was a great disturbance that happened not too long ago. This guy wrote this book. This was a young boy, started out being interested in the planets and the stars, and aspired to discover something that was causing a wobble. They called it Planet X, wound up being called Pluto. This stuff's been going on quite a while. The human bloodline of the Anunnaki. Here's another book. The Blood Prince of the Gods, Howard West. And apparently there's a lot of information on YouTube, books, lectures, pictures, websites, indicating that there are reptilian beings who have mated with humans to create a different kind of bloodline. So you might have purebred aliens, reptilians, and apparently they control the beings called gray aliens. And then when these reptilian beings mated with humans, you have a hybrid being. And then of course you have full-blooded humans. And apparently, according to the UF material out there, there are other entities. What's the truth? And I've got more books. Here's another one. Blindsided, Planet X passes in 2003. So again, this stuff's been going on for a while. And earlier this year, I asked myself, is the propaganda or the fear-mongering or whatever it is it going to stop and finally go away? It seems to have increased this season, saying it's finally here. Earth changes. So I'm going to read a little bit from this book. I'm not trying to do an audio book. Gerald Clark, there's a lot of his videos speaking with different hosts on YouTube. He has his own website, lots of material. So I'm going to start out on page 25 with something called Sumerian history. Apparently it has everything to do with 911. And the destruction of a lot of towns and cities and countries all over the Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Tunisia, Egypt. It's a huge happening, a huge displacement of people, a huge amount of murder, millions of people, machine gun, bombed, with incendiary bombs, burned to death, explosives from planes and helicopters and missiles. This is no small thing. Can you imagine if they did that to the United States? Are they planning to do that to us in the United States and the rest of the world? That's part of the prophecy. So it might behoove us to try to look at why they're doing it to the Middle East. What does it have to do with these Anunnaki beings who appear to be the reptilian beings, which are also called Palladian beings, and they interact or control the gray alien beings, and has something to do with another dimension coming through portals on planet Earth, tying in with a lot of information in the Bible. So this is a tedious research and conversation. And all you can do is one book or one document or website or lecture or conversation, whatever. Just one at a time, and take your time and listen and try to rationalize it in your mind. I like to have notebooks. I got dozens of these filled out with pages of notes and thousands of videos and about 1,000 books here in this office. And documents, stack them up 6 feet high, paper thin, of documents that I've collected and printed out since 2005. Magazines, I just got the recent Nexus magazine yesterday. So I've pursued this from all angles, just trying to figure out something I call WTH. What the heck is going on? I grew up Catholic, Christian, and I still believe that Jesus was real. I think that the Vatican and those elite powers in Rome took over the religion for their own use. And of course, the Council of Nicene in 363 AD, 340, 50 years after Jesus, the Vatican or Rome embraced Christianity because it was growing in the world and the Roman Empire was falling. So they had to do something. And when they did embrace Christianity, they mixed it with the pagan religion to give us like a hybrid religion. And the Orthodox Christians who were towards the north in Greece and Turkey and all of that area were at constant battle with the Church of Rome, with the two Christianities, the Roman Empire and the Orthodox to the north. Just like the Islamic people, religion with Muhammad as the prophet has the two different factions called the Shiites and the Sunnis. And even in the Jewish religion, there's more than one faction. There's the Orthodox, they're God-fearing, apparently good Jewish people. Some of them may be turned towards the dark side. And then, of course, the Reformed Jewry who don't like God's commandments and did turn towards the dark side. And some of those people may not know exactly what's going on and be good people. Very confusing situation. So the focus, like my series, Freemasonry and Satanism, it's apparently the people abiding by God's laws, which are, to me, are pretty simple and good. Thou shalt not kill, and thou shalt not steal, etc. Don't bear false witness. Don't covet what other people have, being greedy or envious and seething with sickness, wanting what somebody else has. And of course, adultery and perversion and sex with children. Apparently in the Bible, God finds that to be abhorrent. We should act like normal beings, male and female, and have offspring and live in this beautiful planet the way God intended it, my opinion. Raising families that don't get hooked on drugs, or young boys or girls who don't wind up in prisons or killed in wars. Why is it so crazy to desire that? But now they want to call Christians haters for not going along with the propaganda, which started a long time ago. And when I was raising a couple boys for a couple years, I had to take care of my sister's two boys for a while. I came home one day and they had these Pokemon chips. And I looked at those ghoulish little creatures and I said to myself, wow, in the future, the young people and old people, if you go back that many years, they would be older people now, are going to look like those Pokemon chips. And guess what? They do look like the Pokemon chips. And for a long time, they've been trying to bring us this new religion called the New Age and the New World Order, to discredit and destroy Christianity, make people believe that Jesus wasn't real. And guess what? It seems like they're succeeding. They want to bring us this new world. They even give us movies to tell us what it's like. Hunger Games movies, Divergent, and so many more. Even the program called Lucifer. The season, the new series just started this Monday, 2 days ago, with the new Lucifer series this year. And of course they have Gotham and Modern Family, and they started that off with Seinfeld and 2.5 Men, with Charlie or Jerry sleeping with a different girl on most shows. So they were trying to alter or change society as we know it. So now I'm going to read from the book here. Sorry for my lengthy opening. But page 25, Sumerian history. So the Sumerian history obviously comes from the land of summer. And these Sumerians, peoples that existed thousands of years ago in the Middle East, where we would now see Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Israel, formerly Palestine until 1947-48, and Egypt and the Sinai Peninsula, Saudi Arabia, all of that place all around the center of the continents between Asia and Europe, Russia and the Orient. I guess the normal place for the beginnings of mankind in history would be the center of the landmass on planet Earth. According to interpretations of Summerologists, the term Anunnaki literally is interpreted as those who from heaven to earth came. So I think Zachariah Stitchin mentioned that quite a bit in his series of books. The key point to note early on is the affiliation of the term heaven with the claimed planet of Anunnaki origin, namely Nibiru, as detailed as the 12th planet written by Stitchin in 1976. So this has been going on quite a while. Even Helena Blavatsky of the Theosophist Society, an ancient religious philosophy where she got that information over in China and India from the Buddhists and the Hindus, bringing to the West, that's Europe and the United States, the religion of the East, China and India, and the other Asian countries. The religion of the East being brought to the peoples of the West, and most of the West was embraced with the religion, Christianity, etc. So a change was taking place. So what was this religion of the East, of the Buddhists and the Hindus in India and surrounding other Asian countries, all the way up to Mongolia, Genghis Khan, when he ravaged the entire Orient and the West Europe and all that? He said God was sending him to punish mankind, and he was a ruthless barbarian that was very destructive. When he attacked an area, a nation, or a country, he intended to be ruthless and vicious. And the theory was that he wouldn't have to conquer the area twice. The people would be so fearful of the monstrous viciousness that him and his soldiers did. It was unbelievable. So anyways, that's the area where these religions came from. So back to the book. Additionally, from the list of characters detailed as deities, people that they call gods, or entities they call gods, in the Mesopotamian literature, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, we know that the head of the Anunnaki Council of 12 was chaired by Anu, the father of the two key players and half-brothers Enlil and Enki. So thousands of years ago, according to the philosophy or the ancient tablets discovered in the deserts of the Middle East, these beings came to planet Earth called the Anunnaki. Apparently, they were reptilians, serpent beings. The father leader was Anu. He had two sons, Enlil and Enki, and they were the key players in this story. Apparently, creating human beings, so they would tell us. And when I do this material, reading from books and sharing my thoughts, do not believe for a moment it is what I believe to be the actual truth. I'm keeping an open mind and studying everything. And at some point, I will make up my own mind what I believe to be the absolute truth. And at this point, certainly, Jesus walked the earth and was healing people and appeared to be giving us a message from God to teach mankind. And even in the Bible, he added a commandment, and it was that we were to love one another. And I can't see why that would be a bad commandment. If we all loved one another all over the planet, I think history would be quite different, rather than killing people everywhere. Alright, so figure 1 below depicts the council composition as of 3760 BCE. So here are some symbols that would be on those cuneiform tablets they discovered in the Middle East in the desert. There's some of the writing there in this book. You can see I highlight material when I'm reading. And I did find a couple of these cuneiform tablets. I did discover there are different tablets discovered in different places around the Middle East. And the tablets usually were named after the discoverer, the person or group of people who discovered them. So there are different sources of these tablets, like you might call libraries, and they tell different stories, which we will be looking at in this video. So here's that cuneiform script writing, cuneiform tablets. You can look this up on a Yahoo image site and see these photos, and there'll be an internet link associated with the cuneiform tablets so that you can go to the website. Here's another tablet, and you can see that they were broken and that somebody pieced them together like a puzzle and then interpreted it. See how they pieced them together? So it does bring into my mind a question. You can see that there's a lot of holes in this puzzle, this book, this tablet. So do we have the correct story? And was in fact the information on the tablets just a story? Like we have all kinds of movies that are created by people who write fiction books to entertain people. So from the digitized cuneiform script, one can compose the word Nibiru from 3 syllables, which are listed in the Unicode below. So Nibiru, you can see these symbols here. Apparently Nibiru. So they computerized the information on the tablets to try to come up with this story. And again, I know since 1910, 1920, and 100 years before, and 1,000 years before, or in 1700 years before, when Rome embraced Christianity and took it over control of it for its own, and altered it to fit its own needs. In other words, they meshed the teachings of Jesus, Christianity, with their pagans' religions to give us a synthesis religion that we call the Catholic religion today. And the Orthodox Christians were trying to abide by the original teachings of Jesus. So there are some questions about that. Even King James of England is the one who approved the Bible most of the people of the world read today, the King James Version. And knowing what I know of now, apparently the Queen and the elites, kings and queens of the world, are part of these reptilian hybrid people, some kind of bloodline, and the symbolism is everywhere. People have specialized their whole internet, YouTube videos and websites to the research of that one thing, reptilians. I've been watching some of that. So if the King of England is the one who approved the Bible that the rest of us use, and if he was a hybrid reptilian human being, whatever, how do I know that what they're approved as the Bible we should all study is the actual truth? This causes lots of questions. So that's why I study so much, whether it's the conspiracy theory, information about the New Age, New World Order, psychic research, listening to the material told by the people channeling some kind of spiritual entities, interdimensional entities, alien beings, like Esther Hicks channeling Abraham, or Jane Roberts channeling Seth, Barbara Marciniak channeling the Palladians, and so many others I've gone over, Edgar Casey's material. So if you watch my videos, you're going to get a diversified view, an eclectic group of books. I figure if I just study everything, I might be able to sort it out and find some truth. Alright, page 26. So here's the family tree of these Anunnaki beings. Anu, with Enlil and Enki, the two sons and the sisters and the marriages. And of course, I'm not trying to do an audiobook. You can go buy this. I want to give credit where credit is due. Gerald Clark. I'm only going to be reading a small portion from the book and having my conversation with a couple other documents. Thus, a more accurate interpretation of the word Anunnaki is those who from Anu to the earth came or was sent. Anunna is a self-reference term Enlil uses for their race in the Atrasis, in the Mount Ararat encounter with Sarusara. So I think the Atrashas is a series of the cuneiform tablets that were interpreted. So the story I'm about to read apparently is translations from different tablets located at different places with different names for the tablets. Thus, an alternate way of spelling it would be Anunnaki, specifying a different set of uniform hexadecimal codes allocated to the cuneiform script as shown for the spelling of Nibiru previously. Equating the planet Nibiru with the word heaven as used in the Bible as an important detail when examining prayers, Our Father who art in heaven. So when I was reading this book, it became clear to me somebody's trying to rethink the version of religion that we people of the world believe or know, or think we believe and know. Of course, whatever we believe and know is going to be what they teach us, like King James approving of the King James Version of the Christian Bible. History is written by the powers that control the planet, just like winners of wars rewrite history about World War II or World War I. If Hitler would have won the war, I'm sure history would be rewritten, and the Britain and Americans would be the demonized characters with Churchill and Roosevelt or Winston. Woodrow Wilson would be the demonized characters along with the rest of us, and we would have all been paying reparations for the war instead of Germany. But that's a fact. Whoever wins gets to make the rules. And the people who win is usually controlled by some higher puppets, some forces that we are all not aware about. And apparently they're connected to this stuff I'm going over now. Some kind of hybrid beings with all the symbolism as depicted on pyramids in the Middle East, or even in the Yucatan, Mexico, Peru, China, India, Romania, all over the world. Serpent beings. And that's not just my thinking. I mean, there's just too much evidence. All right, shining a whole new light on the who the Father of Heaven actually was, namely Anu. So they're trying to now show us that God was Anu. Thus the prayer must have originated among one of his kids on earth, Enlil Enki, Nima, or Nahasha, as depicted in figure 1. That would be this family tree we just looked at here. So the bottom line is somebody's telling us this story about Planet X, Planet Nibiru, stuff I'm going over here, reinterpreting the religious or the creation of mankind and the history. So are we all supposed to believe it? I don't think we should believe it, considering what they have done for the past couple thousand years. The chaos and anarchy, the wars, the murder, the theft. Taking it from the little guy, we the people, again and again and again. The Inquisition, the Crusades, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, Hitler, Mao, the conquistadors, the Vatican, when they came to South America, Central America, North America, the massacre of the Indians. Where did it not exist, all this murder and mayhem? So now these people are trying to rewrite history, and we're supposed to worship them when they brought us what they've brought us for a couple thousand years, and they're trying to blame it on, get this, humanity. Me. You, everybody watching this video. We did it. I don't think so. There was always some forces behind the scenes using the Hegelian dialectic and the divide and conquer, the cause and effect. Deception. And it's going on now. And most people can see it. Even this thing with the guy with the machine gun going crazy in Las Vegas, which I think is horrible. And the guy must have been insane. And I hope it wasn't something more nefarious, drugs or mind control, although there's a lot of opinion out there. But the bottom line is, the effect of that cause is now even Hillary Clinton and everybody else is again calling for gun control. So I guess people with guns stopped that crazy man. And if they take guns away from all the good people all over the planet, like they did in Russia or Germany or China and other places, soon afterwards a serious massacre, Holocaust, happened. And they're planning on a depopulation of the planet, but I suspect they want to disarm we the people. So it does seem to be a coincidence that just might want to raise some suspicions why these things are happening. Could it be the Pokemon chips? Have they infiltrated the minds of the people everywhere? They do have the Republicans viciously hating the Democrats, and the Democrats viciously hating the Republicans. The straights against the gays, the whites against the blacks, and so much more. But that's what these controllers do. These hybrid secret society entities, beings that control our world. They play us for fools. And regrettably, a lot of us buy it. Page 27. What about the reason that the Anunnaki left Nibiru? To come to Earth. Nibiru, located beyond Pluto in our solar system, is trapped in a 3,600-year retrograde elliptic orbit around our sun. So they would tell us, don't believe this stuff. You got to do a lot of research to try to figure it out. Because remember, for the last 13 years since I've been doing my investigation, since 9/11, which was obviously an inside job, and even before that, the Oklahoma City building, Waco, Pearl Harbor, World War II, World War I, and so much more. There's so many people out there who have investigated these things. I've got hundreds of books exposing all this stuff. I've barely touched the surface of the books I have, what I've been reading and sharing. And I've got 4 years and 500 hours of videos on YouTube and over 400 videos. There's just so much. It takes time. All right. According to maps found in Sumeria and reports from 1983, the IRAS Naval Observatory by Dr. Harrington, discovery of a large planet in the region Nibiru was reported to reside, near where the Sumerians indicated beyond Pluto. So I was learning something interesting here, which I will share in a second here. I think it's mentioned. But apparently with the Dr. Harrington working at the IRAS Naval Observatory, the government, a university, all these people are usually doing what they're told, or they wouldn't get grants and be financed. And when they don't do what they're told, like Dr. Harrington, they mysteriously die. Even the Prime Minister of Israel, Sharon, when he had a argument in his Congress in Israel, and he screamed out, "Don't worry about the USA, we control the USA." That got out to the public, and he coincidentally right away went into a coma and died. President John Kennedy of the United States, when he said secret societies are repugnant to the American way of life, and he was going to expose them, he died. Abraham Lincoln died. Other presidents died. Presidents of Panama, presidents of Costa Rica, presidents of Iraq, presidents of Libya. 100 presidents died or deposed. They call regime changes. Venezuela, just on and on and on by these entities. And these are the people who are trying to convince us to believe this stuff. Keep that in your mind when I'm reading. And it gets more interesting. So apparently Dr. Harrington here, before he was taken out naturally or assassinated, was reporting on Nibiru, but he was working and discussing these issues with Zecharia Stitchens. That was a bit of a surprise to me reading this stuff. But another surprise is the intense Catholic focus on Mount Graham in Arizona using the Lucifer optical telescope, watching for Nibiru's arrival, along with all the previous evidence. So again, I mentioned these things, and I like to point them out. But apparently, they, with the acronyms for this telescope, it spells out Lucifer. Why would they name a telescope from the Vatican out there in Mount Graham in Arizona, Lucifer? Why would they be building these telescopes and observation stations in Antarctica that's been in the news? Even during the last election, John Kerry went down to Antarctica during the presidential election of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. And many other dignitaries, religious leaders, and even ex-astronauts went to Antarctica. What is going on? Why is David Wilcock, Corey Good reporting on all this stuff? What are they saying? Been watching those videos. We'll be going over that material again and again. So, okay, the Catholic Church has a telescope in Arizona called Lucifer, looking for the arrival of this planetary body that's supposed to interact with our system. So they tell us. The Anunnaki home planet is real and inbound in a perihelion circa 1400 years from now. So apparently it goes in a long elliptic orbit every 3,600 years. So at one point it goes around our sun, and then it shoots out into space for half of 3,600 years, 1,800 years, and then it comes back for 1,800 years, and goes back for 1,800 years. So what prompted an advanced civilization on Nibiru to send a team of exploratory scientists to Earth? According to genealogy table shown in figure 2 below, various political struggles for power were ongoing with environmental pressures garnering the attention of the governing council on Nibiru. For those with diminishing eyesight, figure 2 is reproduced as a full-size drawing for ease of reference on Appendix A. Okay, so Appendix A shows Anne at the top, Enki, I guess some kind of council of, how many did they say? The governing council on Nibiru. And they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, something like that. Anu family history on Nibiru. So here's the family tree of these entities. And you can probably go to Gerald Clark's website, which has a lot of information, and find this stuff. All right, page 29, continuing this little story so people can understand what I now understand. I'm getting closer to trying to understand what they're trying to tell us. Brown dwarf planets, as we know, do not receive significant solar radiation sufficient to keep the surface temperature habitable, as is the case for Earth given its optimal distance from the Sun. So even on Earth, we don't get all our heat from the Sun. Apparently, the core of the Earth, or some kind of something below the surface, a couple hundred miles, is pretty darn hot, considering we have earthquakes, volcanoes, and lava, and hot springs and stuff like that. So what is the truth about our planet? And I suspect that these secret society elitist, maybe hybrid alien people know the truth, but apparently they're deceiving the rest of us. They don't want us to know the truth. Even these books I have right here, that are stacked up right here, these are Hollow Earth books. We'll be looking at those. A lot of convincing information. I'm even reading the Hollow Earth book right here, right now, by Edward Hendry. The Greatest Lie on Earth. Proof that our world is not a moving globe. Look how thick this is. It's like thick like a Bible. And I've been reading it, and apparently sailors throughout history, when they go by a map of the Earth like this, that's a flat Earth, and they travel from, let's say, the southern portion of this continent to this one, it works. And even the United Nations symbol is like this, and in the military organizations, militaries all over the world, on their battle walls, strategic planning, their maps are like this. And apparently if you're taking a ship from here to here, using this map as a distance map, you know where you are. But when you use the globe version of the map, and you go from the south of Africa to the south over here, you arrive much later than you think. So the distance is actually greater than on the globe. So it works with a flat Earth map, but it does not work with the globe maps, because on the flat Earth, as you would imagine, the latitude lines spread apart the further you go out. Latitude and longitude, so they spread out, as you can see, the further you move out. So on a flat Earth map, the distances are accurate. But on a globe, when the ships and captains try to travel by the globe map, where these distances on the southern hemisphere would be narrow again, like you can see right here going towards the Arctic. If the Earth was really a globe, they would be narrow at Antarctica. But that apparently is not the case. The real distance of the Earth is more depicted by ships of this distance, 14,000 miles, rather than this distance around the Arctic, which would be just a couple hundred miles if you got really close to the North Pole. So according to this author and the material I've been reading, there's something wrong. And even if you try to get a plane and fly by the globe from here to here, it would be this far. But the airlines make you fly from here to here. So they won't let you fly from the tip of South America to the tip of Africa, which should be a short flight on a globe. But if it's a map like this, the tip of South America, right here, to Africa would be halfway almost around the world. From South America to Australia would be halfway around the world. So they fly you this way, which logically is the shortest way, this way, versus this way. Just some stuff in the book. So again, I might point out, what is the truth? So I keep taking a stab at it. I keep reading. So here we go. The atmosphere of Nibiru was generated either artificially or from gases. So if Nibiru travels way out here for 1,800 years and then comes back 1,800 years, so the whole orbit is 3,600 years, it is obviously not close to the sun and doesn't have the same atmosphere as Earth. But apparently they were having problems with their atmosphere, according to this story. And they did come to Earth, according to Zechariah Stitchins and these Sumerian tablets. So they tell us, if we are to believe their interpretations, to mine for gold dust to put in their atmosphere to protect their people, their planet. So consider the periodic exposure of the outer planet that normally receives very low levels of direct solar radiation in its outer orbit, but intense exposure due to the close perihelion, where the atmosphere would receive a larger radiation dose. So if there really was this 3,600-year orbit of this star Nemesis with its planet Nibiru, when it got really close to our sun, their radiation meter would be off the top. They would be burning up, and when they got way out here, they would be freezing. So apparently their planet itself generated a lot of heat. Just like I said, under the surface of the Earth, we have hot springs and lava and volcanoes. So something to do with the gravity and the pressure of rocks and everything grows greater as you go towards the center of the planet. And that intense pressure apparently causes a lot of heat, melting rock, etc. And even the sliding of the plates, the continental plates, causes a lot of friction and pressure, creating volcanoes and lava, etc. Just like you see when a volcano is going off, you see all those lightning bolts from the dust, just like a thunderstorm. According to Stitchin's published history timeline, approximately 450,000 years ago, almost 500,000 years ago, 500,000 years ago, life on Nibiru was facing extinction due to a deteriorating atmosphere and the subsequent exposure to radiation, especially at close perihelion with the sun. So the closer it got to the sun. This event was depicted in figure 2, shown on the dialog box at the bottom of the left-hand side. So my point again is, this is the history that they're trying to have us believe, and discredit Christianity and apparently the Islamic religion with its prophet Muhammad, and other religions with their prophets, and also remembering what Jesus said in the Bible to the Jews, the Pharisees, when he overturned the money changers' tables, the same people who had Jesus crucified, the Jesus who gave us the new commandment that we should love one another. He told them, ye are the killers of your prophets. So there have been many prophets, whether you want to call them avatars, humans that are born, that are gifted with knowledge or a spiritual being, to try and teach we humans. History is full of different prophets, deities, even the Buddha or Krishna, Vishnu, Shiva with Hindu religion, and Quetzalcoatl of the Mexicans, and all kinds of other entities, even with American Indians and other native tribes all over the world, even the shamans in Peru who take ayahuasca drug, or the Mexicans shamans take in peyote, communicate with the invisible reality. Videos I've made on books like Carlos Castaneda, A Separate Reality. And I'll continue investigating that stuff and making more videos. Like I said, I want to study everything. I want to find out what's going on and share what I find. All right, back to the book. So we're learning about Anu and his two sons, Enki and Enlil, and the planet apparently having atmosphere problems like they tell us we have on Earth today with the ozone and global warming. So the way the story works out so far in my mind is they want us to believe that this solar system is coming, and there's lots of evidence in the hieroglyphics and the tablets that they found all over the world and the symbolisms. And the catastrophes happen on Earth every 3,600 years. And that these beings, Anu, Enki, Enlil, and the sisters and the other women, are the same beings as Poseidon of Atlantis, or Isis and Osiris and Horus and Ra and Marduk and so many others. These are the same entities with different names throughout history, depending on where you are. For example, in Spanish, hello is hola. In English, it's hello. So the different languages just for the word hello is different. So the names for these different gods are different, but apparently, in the research I've been doing here, it's just another name for the same god. So is Enki and Enlil, is one of them Poseidon, one of them Osiris? Is Ashtar really Isis? So it takes a little bit of work, and we'll be looking at these topics. It does show up. So I am revealing a little bit at a time. Back to the book. Okay. A political struggle was also taking place on Nibiru, where Anu succeeds in wresting kingship from the unjust ruler Alelo, leading to his exile. So Alelo was battling for rulership of Nibiru, and Anu won. So Alelo was exiled. Alu escapes in a spacecraft in anticipation of his exile, sentencing, and subsequently discovers gold on Earth. So they exiled him, and he fled Nibiru. He knew that Nibiru's planet was suffering the potential devastation like they claim Earth is with global warming. Isn't that a coincidence? So when he came to Earth and discovered gold, he had a brainstorm that he could get the gold back and save Nibiru and become a hero. Gain his kingship back, maybe. Alelu's precious metal discovery is offered as an amend to save Nibiru's failing atmosphere by dispersing ionized gold particles into the home planet's degrading atmosphere. So, you read about this, and then you see them taking these planes and dumping chemicals in our sky on planet Earth, knowing full well, most people should know, that those chemicals they're dumping on Earth appear to be aluminum byproducts, which cause ailments and Alzheimer's. We lose our memory, detrimental effects to humans, plants, and trees. And apparently all this aluminum spray stuff they're dumping with the other stuff, barium and strontium and coal ash, falls to the ground. Apparently it's quite flammable. And of course we all know there have been some serious fires all over the planet for the last 20, 30 years. So this stuff ignites when it catches fire, all these aluminum byproducts dumped in the sky. Is this all intentional? All right, Anu dispatches his premier scientifically minded son Enki to assess the possibility of recovering Ailulu's reported gold from Earth. So Ailulu escaped Nibiru after losing the kingship, discovered gold on Earth, thought he would bring it back and be a hero. So Anu sends his son Enki to Earth to see if this gold is plausible, a real opportunity. Enki departs for Earth approximately 5,000 years later, 445,000 years ago, noting that a Nibiru year is equal to 3,600 Earth years. So apparently these Anunnaki from Nibiru lived a very long time, and one of their years is equal to 3,600 of our years. So we have 365 days. So divide the 3,600 years by 365. Is one of their days equal to 10 or 80 of our years? That'd be one long day, wouldn't it? If one of their days was equal to 100 Earth years. Everything is relative, I suppose. Imagine that. Their sun rises and falls every 100 years. Apparently that caused them some health issues when they came here to Earth to mine for gold, according to these stories, which I'm not trying to convince anybody is the truth. I'm just saying what's in the books and what they would have us believe is the truth. According to Sumerian records, to include the Sumerian kings list, and these books, there's so many of them I've been showing, and so much other evidence out there, plus the intentional destruction of Islam and Christianity and other religions, even according to Aleister Crowley in his book of the law, preaching the commandments from God, I guess the devil, is do as thou wilt. There are no laws. So apparently they're trying to destroy the religion as we know it and bring us this other religion, part of the New Age and New World Order. And one of the symbols is the skull and daggers and blood. The first city colonized by the Anunnaki was Eridu, located at the headwaters of the Persian Gulf. Now I thought this was really important. So the first city when they got here was over there in the Middle East, near Jerusalem, the headwaters of the Persian Gulf. So I happen to have a couple little pictures here. The green is on this picture. You can go look up the Mount Sinai. You can see green is Israel today, formerly Palestine, years ago known as the land of Canaan. And you can see The Sinai Peninsula right there would be the headwaters of the Persian Gulf. You can see Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and to the north of the green there would be Syria, and to the west of it would be Iraq and Afghanistan. So we can see why they did 911. And the land thereafter is the headquarters, even the first city of these supposedly returning Anunnaki and planet Nibiru characters. You can go on Yahoo image site and find these pictures, and there is a internet link to the takes you to where the picture came from, and a story to be told. In this particular case, Israel had a 6-day war with Egypt. You can see Israel rises in the right next to Jordan in the light yellow, and then of course Egypt is the orange below. That's called the Sinai Peninsula, now controlled by Israel, by the way. So the Israelites, the Jewish people, had a 6-day war with Egypt to take control of that land, which was the first city of the Anunnaki. So what religion do the Jewish people, that control Israel today, took it over in 1946, were behind World War I and World War II and 9/1 apparently. All this stuff to take control of these lands. And then you read the story about the Anunnaki, the coincidence is too much. There is a connection. The 6-day war brought victory to Israel over 3 Arab nations, Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. So this was 1967. So now we know why they brought us 911 in 2001. There is a plan, and we know it as the New Age and New World Order, and it's been going on for quite a while, a couple hundred years. And we have the stories about Nibiru, and the translated Sumerian tablets has everything to do with what we're talking about, trying to find out what the heck is going on planet Earth in my series Freemasonry and Satanism. And all these secret societies apparently are controlled by these hybrid beings, or whatever they are. Israel gained control of the Sinai Peninsula and the old city of Jerusalem, as well as the Golan Heights, West Bank, and Gaza Strip. So I thought when I was reading this book by Gerald Clark, and I'm finding out about this, the first city of the Anunnaki was Eridu, located at the headwaters of the Persian Gulf, which is the Sinai Peninsula. I thought that was too much to be believed. There's more. Following their arrival on Earth, Enki, along with a small band of support staff, began prospecting for gold in the waters of the Gulf with limited success. So getting gold out of the ocean and the area is not the easiest thing to do. You have to find deposits of it and mine it. And that's involved in this story. Apparently, according to what they would have us believe, that's why they created humans from the animal life on Earth to be the workers for these Anunnaki reptilian beings. Even, I think they were giant beings, bigger than normal humans, according to the hieroglyphics in the pyramids and other monuments all over the Middle East, which you can go look up this stuff, Egyptian hieroglyphics, etc. And you'll see there is a difference in size of the beings, of the humans, and the masters, and you'll see them having bird's head or reptilian bodies. You will see this story etched in stone. So in a roundabout way, they're trying to have us all believe this is the true history of humanity, and these Anunnaki reptilian beings are the true gods. And they want to bring us a return of the golden age. Get it? Got it? The lack of progress in producing a sufficient amount of gold to repair the ailing atmosphere prompts Anu to send his younger son Enlil to help Enki speed up the gold recovery process. So they were reporting back to the planet Nibiru what was going on, that gold was indeed here, but it was a slow process. So Anu sends his other son Enlil to go help his son Enki. The mining operation was being transitioned from the waters of the Persian Gulf to mining the ore located by Enki in South Africa. So there are monuments all over South Africa of this strategic filtering of the soil, looking for gold nuggets, etc., even gold powder. Quite a job. In the vicinity of Zambezi River. Wow, so there is a lot of gold apparently in South Africa, and diamond mines, as we know, and which always kind of bothered me, the way they treat the slave workers of the diamond mines in South Africa. So if anybody thinks this new age and new world order is going to be something delightful for the rest of us, just concentrate and think about how they treat those people working at diamond mines in South America, treating them horribly bad. We've seen it in movies. And apparently these people, when they do gain control over the world, it will not be no fancy socialism. It will be communism, and it will be a dictatorship. People will be microchipped. All the stuff in the Bible apparently is true. And they are reptilian beings, like in the Garden of Eden. Coincidences, you think? Given the support infrastructure that would be needed to crush rock and process gold-laden ore, Enki and Enlil invited Anu to come to Earth and provide counsel to the arduous mining task. So the two sons now invite their father Anu to come to Earth to help with the task, to be the boss. Between approximately 445,000 years to 360,000 years ago, Anu arrived on Earth and was briefed on the current gold mining operation status that his son Enki was spearheading. A question of which brother should handle the mining operation in Africa, and which brother should head up the command headquarters of Mesopotamia, specifically in Nippur, was an issue. So one of them had to be made the boss at the headquarters, the airports in Lebanon. There's this place called Baalbek with gigantic stones the size of school buses and buildings. Yeah, one stone. There's pictures of that on the internet. And apparently that's where the ships landed and took off from. And which brother would go to South Africa and work the mines. So that's really the thing. Two sons of the king, this kind of god character. One has to go out there and work in the field, and the other one gets to live in the palace. That caused some friction between the two brothers. According to the Atrashas account, that's another series of these cuneiform tablets. Anu, Enlil, and Enki drew lots to determine which mission each would pursue. So they drew lots. Who got the shortest straw? Got the short end of the stick, I guess. Which mission each would pursue separately, creating space between the two half-brothers that were often at odds with each other. Enki was the firstborn son of Anu, and Entu, that would be his wife. Enlil, according to the Sumerian accounts, the rightful heir to the throne. Based on Nibiru inheritance rules, the rightful heir is designated as the offspring of the male and the half-sister. So that was interesting when I read that. Because if you read about the bloodlines of the Illuminati in Fritz Springmeier's book I've shown, which I'll take a look at that for a second. Apparently, some of the pictures that these people with telescopes or whatever are seeing looks like Nibiru, or some kind of sun with wings going through space, like a comet has a tail. Apparently this body is so large it has a tail on both sides. This would be the incoming nemesis or dark star, also with its planets Nibiru. So you'll find these pictures everywhere, and apparently they're all over the Egyptian hieroglyphics. And in Fritz Springmeier's book, Bloodlines of the Illuminati, there's a big circle here. It's got the skulls on it, but it's got this bigger circle in the back here with the pyramid, but it has the wings on it and the bird here. Birds fly. And it's the double-headed bird here on this picture, which the Freemasons use on their buildings. So you can see that there is a similarity between the star that's coming, our sun's binary twin, or Nibiru, and this sun obviously behind here, and the wings here. So Isis and Osiris, this is Isis's symbol. And even on symbols for automobiles and other corporations and a lot of these secret societies, it's the orb with the wings. It's interesting to know. I was noticing a couple of things in my pictures when I was looking for that picture right now. But when I started this investigation years ago, I was watching videos, and if you went on Google Sky and looked at the right location where Nibiru was supposed to be, you would find out a blacked out location in the heavens with apparently, as you can see, some kind of bright light behind it. So is all this fabricated? Here's some other pictures they're telling us of some kind of sightings of something coming. And apparently there's all kinds of pictures we see every day. So this is no small thing. So you're getting an idea of what this new rewritten story of history is all about. This attempt, and here's Harrington here with pictures in the newspaper back then discovering some planet X. He mysteriously dies. He was working with Zachariah Stitchin. There's a picture of our solar system interacting with another solar system. Even on money, you can see symbols of intersecting. See that ball on this picture? Behind the word pounds on the top. So they got this planetary system, which is part of this religion, that they would have us believe. They say it looks like this looking at a telescope. It looks like a bright light on the bottom with some wings on the side, like the orange ball there with the wing. Strangely enough, if you look at some of this stuff about the bloodlines of the Illuminati and their shields or symbols everywhere, you'll see the orb with the wings, or Isis on Yahoo image site, or the Egyptian hieroglyphics, you'll see repeatedly the orb with the wings. So what are they going to have us worship? What's the truth? Why did they black that out on the Google Sky? What's that really spotted in the sky by them? What's that in my pictures that I took with the orange orb? What is the truth? Should we believe this new religion they're telling us and forget about Christianity? Okay, so now we got Anu coming to Earth. They draw lots. Who's going to work in South Africa? Who's going to take care of these cities on the Sinai Peninsula next to Jerusalem? where the pyramids and the Sphinx is and all of that. And now Israel controls that. And the Middle East, all the towns and cities have been destroyed, and the people have been killed and moved to other countries. And they're planning on this new age and new world order. Does it start to add up what they're trying to have us believe? It should add up what they are doing. That becomes pretty clear when you look at the symbols. And they're interpreting the symbols here. Let me read on some more. Okay. Enlil was, according to the Sumerian accounts, the rightful heir, according to these tablets, Sanskrit, and the interpretations. And should we believe what they're telling us these tablets say? We can't read them. You can't read them. Nobody can read them. A couple of these people who are in the inside, they don't tell us the truth about 911. They won't tell us what they're dumping in the sky every day. They are doing it. They won't even admit to that. A lot of these false flags and shootings and bombings, they want us to believe them, like Sandy Hook and so many others. All right. Based on the Nibiru inheritance rules, the rightful heir is designated as the offspring of the male and half-sister. So in Fritz Springmeier's book, reason I went and got it, I lose my place sometimes, on these bloodlines of the Illuminati, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, even the Bush family, Kennedy family, DuPont family, Lai family, all over the world, these bloodlines, people who have been accused of shape-shifting into reptilians, they marry their relatives and half-sisters. Another coincidence. Keep it in the family. The female contribution to the genetic material includes the mitochondrial DNA, which the male does not. So they have to have a sister, half-sister, to make a son who is the heir, because of a DNA issue. This predisposes the genetic bloodline towards the maternal source. Aha! Now we understand these kings and queens and princesses and princes and why they don't want their offspring to intermarry with the rest of us. And another coincidence. Jewish people do not want, it's forbidden, that they intermarry with the rest of us. They want to keep the bloodline pure. So you talk about racism, you know, you can only move to Israel, immigrate there if you're Jewish, not the rest of us. But they want the rest of us to assimilate like the Borg on Star Trek. So what's good for them is not good for us. And what's good for us is not good for them. There's two different things going on here. So who are the evil forces? Is it them or is it us? I suspect it's them in the secret societies. So again, they're the ones that are interpreting these Sumerian tablets. If it was information they didn't want to get out, it wouldn't get out. Like President John Kennedy was going to speak the truth, he gets assassinated. Like so many other people who have been trying to tell the truth. Even Harrington here, the astronomer, he probably wouldn't go along for too long, but once he made his announcements, they had to knock him off, like Prime Minister Sharon of Israel. When he said, don't worry about America, we control America, they couldn't have people asking him, what do you mean by that, Prime Minister Sharon of Israel? So he goes into a coma and then he's dead. This happens all the time. Even that guy in Vegas. We'll never know the truth. He's dead. They all get killed quickly. Even the guy who shot Kennedy was shot right away. They didn't want him to tell the truth. They had to shut it up. 911. How many people have died mysteriously investigating or trying to tell the truth on that issue? So again, Can we believe this stuff with this new religious philosophy? Supposed to be part of this one world order, one world religion, one world global currency. Even the punishment on the Noahic law for this one world religion that was passed by the U.S. Congress on holiday when everybody was gone calls for the punishment by guillotine for heretics against this new religion that's coming. And if you go look it up on the internet, they purchased 30,000 guillotines. You don't think it's coming? There's much more evidence. We'll go over it. Following the drawing of lots, Enlil was assigned to the Mesopotamian region, where he would eventually be served by Terah and his son Abram in the Temple of Ur. So this would be in the Sinai Peninsula and in the area of Iraq, the two rivers, and in the Saudi Arabian area. Enki was assigned to the Abzu, Africa, to speed up the gold mining operation badly needed to repair the Nibiruan degenerating atmosphere. So they needed to repair Nibiru's atmosphere. Anu returned to Nibiru to run the kingship back on the home planet. Inanna, Anu's favorite granddaughter, was given to the Indus Valley region, and the Sinai Peninsula was retained for use by the Anunnaki. So here we have the Sinai Peninsula I just showed in the pictures, which Israel now closed during the now controls during, it's that portion in the middle there, on the bottom, south of Israel. The 1967 Six-Day War, when the Israeli jet planes were bombing the smithereens out of Egypt and took control of this land. So I'm reading about it in this new religion, and we can see why. So the Sinai Peninsula and the Indus Valley region was retained for use by the Anunnaki. So, of course, in my mind, I wanted to know where the Indus Valley region was. And what a surprise I got there. That's down there in India, next to the mountain range, the Himalayas, which is supposed to be the location of Shambhala, where these ancients live in the mountains and is mentioned throughout history. Look up Shambhala. We'll be going over that. So these ancient beings who apparently control planet Earth from inside the mountains, the Himalayan mountains in India, and the Sinai Valley that now is controlled by Israel, is the lands retained by and controlled by the Anunnaki beings, which are supposed to be reptilians. Too much of a coincidence here, you think? The division took place and was finalized in the calendar year 3760 BC. So 3760 BCE. So that's the same calendar which the Jews use today. So if you go look at a Masonic lodge, you're going to see a calendar. The stone that they put in a building, the cornerstone. On one side will be the calendar date 1913, if that's when the building was built. And on the other side of the cornerstone will say something like 3740 or something. 5740. 3760 BC before Christ. So you add up that year plus the years we have today equals the Jewish calendar. And also, apparently, the calendar of these beings align with the Israeli calendar. I thought that was weird. The division took place and was finalized in the calendar year 3760. So it's east of the Himalayas was the Indus Valley and the Sinai Peninsula, and all this took place 3760 BCE, which, weirdly enough, the Jewish calendar year that just ended is 5777. And 777 is an important number in the occult. So the year 2017, for the calendar we use, since Jesus' birth, the Jewish calendar that just ended a few weeks ago was 5777. So a lot going on in 2017, and maybe this explains it. There are some certain dates that are important to these entities and beings and their plan for a new age and a new world order. So approximately 415 years ago, Enki's half-sister, Nahashshag, a medical officer, traveled to Earth and established her medical center at Sharupak. Her mission was to provide healthcare support for the space-traveling Nibiru astronauts. There were complaints from the Anunnaki about noticeable aging effects that were not seen on Nibiru. It was postulated that the more rapid circuits they were experienced on Earth versus Nibiru with a much slower circuit, namely a 360-year shar. So instead of their day equaling Earth's 10 or 100 years, even 10 years would be a long time, when they came here to Earth and had to have the sun rise and set every 24 hours. And of course the year would be much shorter. Apparently it had a serious health effect on the Anunnaki. Shortened their lifespan, which apparently was thousands of years. Okay, much more information here. So the cities that were important to these Anunnaki back then, the same calendar date as the Jewish calendar, weirdly enough, was over there in the area between Syria and Iraq, with the Tigris River and the, what's the name of that other river? Next to Babylon. We've all heard about Babylon. And a lot of these other cities, Sippor. This is over there in Iraq, which has been bombed to smithereens before 9/11 with George Bush Sr. and after 9/11 with George Bush Jr. We all know this. But I didn't know all these coincidences about Nippur and Lagresh and Arudu. All these cities that were major ports for the Anunnaki, apparently Palladian, reptilian, Anunnaki aliens, was all over Iraq. And if the age, this golden age is returning, I suspect, like anybody else, they would want their ancient cities back, and they're choosing this location for the same reason they chose this location thousands of years ago. So the Nippur was the mission control center, Sippor was the spaceport, Sharupak was the medical center, Bad Tirabi was the gold ore processing, Lasha and Lagresh was the navigational aids, so maybe the pyramids were navigational aids, and Ur was the command headquarters of Enlil, Arudu was Earth Station 1, Enki headquarters, pre-Diluvian Anunnaki outposts. So prior to the Great Flood, this is where all these Anunnaki were working. And guess where they were working? Over there in Babylon, and all those cities I highlighted in yellow were the major operational cities for the Anunnaki thousands of years ago. So now we know why after the invasion in Iraq after 9/11, the military and a lot of elites were beelining it to the museums and confiscating all the artifacts. And since then, the archaeologists, The archaeologists have been digging everywhere, and sometimes they find important things and they press releases are in the newspaper. It's just going on and on and on, and it matches with this story here, this new religion or this new story of the creation of humankind that they want us to believe. Several cities were established in Sumer. That would be this Syrian-Iraq area. And you know they want to attack Iran eventually, so apparently they got to knock Iran off. They're attacking Syria right now, trying to destroy it. They've already done Afghanistan. They've already done Iraq. And many other countries, Libya, Tunisia. And because Russia was fighting them, they went in and overthrew the president of Ukraine and caused Russia a lot of havoc, which weirdly enough, the Ukraine people, Ukraine country, is the ancient land or home of the Khazars, these people, these barbarians from the north who embraced the Jewish religion 1,000 years ago. So apparently this is all connected to the occult and all these secret societies and 911 and the things going on today. Let's hope it's not part of something that they created to happen in Las Vegas a couple of days ago. Apparently it is part of the Sandy Hook, when that one newscaster was holding up a picture of an owl, and so many other suspicious activities like the Boston bombing, Oklahoma City bombing, Waco, and many others, railroad station bombings. Apparently they were having military or bombing exercises, training programs while these things were happening. So there's just a lot of evidence that a lot of this stuff is being orchestrated for public consumption to re-educate we the people. These cities were designed to provide specific functions related to the mining operations and subsequent ore processing, as well as infrastructure needed to remain in communications with Nibiru. So how did they communicate with another planet? What do the pyramids have to do with that, etc.? Table 2 depicts the cities and their respective functions, shows a relational city map. So when I looked at this and I saw all the cities, you know, it doesn't take a genius to figure out why they're doing what they're doing in Iraq. Page 33. I'm only reading a few pages from this book. Give credit where credit is due. Go watch Gerald Clark's videos. I'm not trying to say Gerald Clark is the good guy or the bad guy. He is disseminating this information, putting it out there. And is it the truth? Is there an agenda? What about the telescope Lucifer in Arizona? The Pope stepping down and the Jesuit Pope taking the seat. And apparently the Jesuit Pope would be the Black Pope, and has a lot of suspicious ramifications of that involving the secret societies, etc. It all ties together. That's my philosophy. That's why I have to study everything and take it slowly. As told in the Atrashas, that would be one set of these tablets that were discovered, that you can go look on Yahoo image site and put in cuneiform tablets, whatever, the Middle East, hieroglyphics, and take a look at that and read click the link to the picture and read what's going on at that website. And knowing what you know after listening to my video, you should be able to start being able to put the puzzle together for yourself. Take some notes like I do. I made a lot of videos, so it may take a little while. And go to my website, rickmiracle.com, and on the top left-hand side should be a link to my videos on YouTube. Cut and paste them into a document, print it out, and have it as a little cheat sheet so you can watch what kinds of videos that interest you, whether it's remote viewing or psychic research or channeling or the history of Egypt and the Anunnaki, Nibiru, the occult, Helena Blavatsky, the Terra conspiracy, Jim Mars, Text Mars, Looking at my books right now. The Cause of World Unrest, Series 150. And all those different books I went over on channeled material, psychics, the raw material, Masonry, Jewish mysticism, Edgar Cayce, the Book of Enki way back on 102 video, series 102. I've been talking about this Nibiru, Enki, Enlil stuff. Who financed Hitler? Henry Ford, the world's foremost problem, the Jewish internationalists, UFOs, aliens, Eric von Daniken, Gold from the Gods, The Case for UFOs, and so many other books. The Morals and Dogma for the Bible for the Freemasons. I made dozens 2-hour videos. So in total, I've got about 500 hours, probably more, 400 videos over 4 years. Just trying to get to the bottom of what the heck is going on. What kind of religion are they trying to bring us? What do they want us to believe? So as told in the Atrashas, some of these cuneiform tablets, approximately 300,000 years ago in Enki's domain in southern Africa, the Anunnaki Council of 12 met to discuss how to increase gold production. Background information from the account sets the scene for the ancient astronauts' noteworthy recorded historical events. The higher-ranking members of the Anunnaki Council, purportedly Enki himself, brought several subservient workers to help with establishing the gold mining outpost on Earth. The Lost Book of Enki refers to. So they have all these different Sumerian tablets that tell different stories. And we'll be looking at that. The Lost Book of Enki refers to them as the Watchers. So we've heard about the Watchers, we've heard about Masters, we've heard about Archons, all these books I have on these different kinds of beings, which seem to be, in many cases, the same beings, like the Palladians or the Reptilians and the Anunnaki appear to be all in one the same being. Among other names, and in control of the Greys, which are some kind of hybrid or android beings. Maybe the Greys are some kind of first attempt at mixing their DNA with some kind of Earth creatures. I don't know. Maybe it's actually an advanced creature beyond humans, something more or less that they can control. Maybe they're avatars, like the movie Avatar, that can take the spirits of these beings or be possessed by them. But the Atrahasi calls the miners Ijiji. So apparently these created humans were initially called the Ijiji. They were apparently very advanced relative to humans, although designated as the working class agent. So who's the Ijiji? Is it the humans we have today, or was it the gray aliens? Difficult, labor-intensive tasks were assigned to the Ijiji to include dredging rivers, digging and constructing aqueducts, building cities, and last but not least, mining gold-bearing ore in southern Africa. Apparently, they were not supplied with female companions during their alien deployment to Earth, mining over a long period of time. So, are the Ijiji just a lower class of Anunnaki aliens? Were they using some of their own for the initial work? And did they have to create humans to do the actual work? And did these Ijiji desire to have sex with the human women? It's a little complicated, but take your time. I do. And I can make some mistakes or later on readjust my thinking. That's okay. At least I am thinking. Measured in Nibiru orbit lengths as a shar. So 1 Nibiru year is a shar. Wow. So when it goes around our sun is a shar, 3,600 Earth years. What follows is an excerpt from the first tablet from the Atrahasis, the Old Babylonian version, the OBV, as translated by the Stephen Daly in her Oxford World's Classic book entitled Myths from Mesopotamia, Creation, the Flood, Gilgamesh, and Others, page 37, page 9. So I looked at this and I go, well, that's interesting. The Old Babylonian version was in the tablets, the story, the Atrahasis tablets, and translated by Stephanie Daly in her Oxford World's Classic book entitled Myths from Mesopotamia, Creation, the Flood, Gilgamesh, and Others. So I thought about Babylon, and it brought to mind a couple other biblical stories. And I saw these pictures. I went on YouTube and found some pictures. It's like I'm missing one. But anyways, a lot of people have heard about the Whore of Babylon. So a lot of these myths and ancient stories talk about the Whore of Babylon. And apparently, what we think of as the Statue of Liberty, with the crown on top, look at the sun's rays, and the torch with the light. Lucifer is known as the light bearer, and apparently they say the Statue of Liberty is Anunnaki, half man, half woman. And somebody had this picture, the Whore of Babylon. There's a link you can click and see what all that means. But apparently what I'm trying to show is that some of the material in the biblical stories, the stuff we all know about in the Bible, apparently has something to do with all of this. I do have some other documents here and pictures I'd like to go over. But before I do, I'm trying to put two and two together. Well, I've looked at a lot of stuff in the past few days, trying to contemplate what is the truth. So I found a lot of different search results when I looked into different topics. One is I looked up the divinities of the primitive pre-literate societies. In other words, the different types of gods as depicted by different cultures. The Orient, China, India, the Hindus, Zoroastrians, Christians, Muslims, Arabs, South America, North America. Anyways, one particular page, www.mircea-eliade.com. I'll show it to you so you can go look it up if you want. On the top there, pause your computer. But there's a long list of these gods in the different areas: Africa, Middle East, Polynesia, Orient. So these different stories from these different cultures. I'll just share a little bit here. A little bit surprising. The gods of the ancient Near East, ancient India, and Japan. Did you hear me? Near East, ancient India, and Japan. Enki, a Sumerian high god. So the Anunnaki would be related to the gods of the ancient Near East. The Middle East is the Near East. Ancient India, Shambhala we mentioned, were apparently was one of the designated Inki ports. In Japan, Enki, the Sumerian high god, the Egyptian high god in the Age of the Coffin text, Antun, a bisexual high god, and then of course you have Indra, Varuna, King Varuna, the Varuna, the all-knowing god, the Vedic hymn of the goddess Earth, Vishnu, the cosmic god, the goddess of Amtrusia, the storm god, the Python Apollo, the Earth Mother of all, Hercules, Demeter, the second. Muhammad speaks of Allah. And then another document I found here was the Marcinia Ilidia, From Primitives to Zen, Enki, a Sumerian high god. You're not going to believe this. But you can go look these up. Enki in the world order is one of the longest and best preserved of the extant Sumerian narrative poems. That would be these translated tablets. The poem begins with a hymn of praise addressed to Enki. Some of it is destroyed and unintelligible, but generally speaking, it seems to exalt Enki as the god who watches over the universe and is responsible for the fertility of field and farm, flock and herd. It continues to follow the same Moffat at some length, where Enki, now praising himself, now being praised by the gods. Next, a badly damaged passage. So you can see why there would be some badly damaged passages. You can't see all of the ancient text on this tablet. Seems to describe the various rites and rituals performed by some of the more important priests and spiritual leaders of Sumer. That would be over there in Iraq, the areas we looked at with all the major business cities of the Anunnaki aliens 500,000 years ago. And Enki's Abzu shrine. The scene shifts again to reveal Enki in his boat, passing from city to decree the fates and render proper exaltation to each. The two inimical lands are not so fortunate. He destroys them and carries off their wealth. Enki now turns from the fates of the various lands which made up the Sumerian inhabited world and performs a whole series of acts vital to the earth's fertility and productiveness. He fills the Tigris River over there that we just looked at in Iraq with life-giving water, and then appoints the god Ibululu, the canal inspector, to make sure the Tigris and the Euphrates function properly. So these two rivers by Babylon, with what we know of as the Whore of Babylon, the stories in biblical accounts, apparently all related here. He calls the marshland and canebrake, supplies them with fish and reeds, and again appoints a deity for them. So you see, we're talking about a religion here, a belief. What is a religion? A belief. So they're bringing us another belief that most of us didn't know about. But apparently we will know about it. History is being redesigned. He erects his own shrine by the sea and places the goddess Nashi in charge of it, Similarly, he calls the earth's plow yoke and furrow, the cultivated field, the pickaxes and brick mold. He turns to a high plain, covers it with vegetation and cattle, stalls and sheepfolds. He fixes the borders in cities and states. And finally, he attends to women's tasks, particularly the weaving of cloth. For each realm, a deity is appointed. The poem comes to an end. Yet another key, as ambitious and aggressive Ayana complains that she has been slighted and left without any special powers or prerogatives. Enki reassures her with a recantation of her own insignia and provinces. There's a poem here. I'll read a little bit of it. Enki, the king of the Abzu, overpowering in his majesty, speaks up with authority. My father, the king of the universe, brought me into existence in the universe. My ancestor, the king of all lands, gathered together all of the Mies and placed the Mies in my hand. So these Mies are some kind of fancy, high-tech, maybe computer-controlled devices that can do all kinds of things. Magic, if you will. From Enghor, the house of Enlil, I brought craftsmanship to my Abzu of Aruda. So Aruda is over there by the Tigris and Euphrates in Iraq near Babylon. Apparently that's where Enki's shrine is. So now we know why the Israelis, the Jewish people, apparently into this sort of religion, whether it's part of the Kabbalah and mysticism, needed that land. Apparently these beings want to return to some golden age. So they build a shrine to himself there. I am the fungal seed engendered by the great wild ox. I am the firstborn of An. I am the great storm who goes forth out of the great below. I am the lord of the land. I am the chief gaggle of the chieftains. I am the father of all the lands. I am the big brother of the gods. I am he who brings full prosperity. I am the record keeper of heaven and earth. So I know that if you read these different New Age religions mentioned in different Rosicrucian, Morals and Dogma, the book that Albert Pike wrote, Helena Blavatsky, the Theosophist Society, Annie Besant, Alice Bailey, and so much more, you're going to notice a lot of similar rites and passages, initiations, and material. I'm getting closer to this. I'm not going to read it all. I just highlighted a couple sentences in the poem. You can go look it up. I am the leader of the Anunnaki. I am he who has been born as the first son of the Holy An. The Anunnaki became before him in prayer and supplication. Again, I've skipped a whole lot there. I've got a few more things I want to do in this video. He made grow the grain in the cultivated field. Enki multiplied the heaps and mounds, brought joy to the dining hall of the gods. In the vegetation-like plain, he made prosperity prevail. He filled the Enghor, the house of Enlil, with possessions. So he filled his brother's house, Enlil, with possessions. Enlil rejoiced with Enki. Nippur was joyous. He fixed the borders. He demarcated them with boundary stones. He's trying to show there's a belief here, which sounds like something you would read about in the Old Testament or New Testament. Enki for the Anunnaki erected dwelling places in the cities over there by the Euphrates in the Iraqian area. The hero, the bull who comes forth out of Hashor, that's a forest, who roars like a lion. The valiant Utu, the bull who stands secure, who proudly displays his power. The father of the great city, the place where the sun rises, the great herald of holy An, the judge, the decision maker of the gods, the decision maker of the gods, who wears a Lapsu Luzizi beard, who comes forth from the holy heavens unto the son born of Nigel, Enki placed in charge of the entire universe. So the translation was by Summer Noel Kramer in his The Sumerians, Their History, Culture, and Character. So somebody is interpreting these cuneiform tablets in the Middle East. Numerous locations have been found where there were cities and libraries. Obviously, the tablets were all broken up. And somebody's reinterpreting these stories and trying to tell us what they say. There's numerous books. I've been going over them. We'll continue to do it. And this was back in 1963. Another book, the Samuel Noah Kramer, The Sumerians, Their History, Culture, and Character. I read that. Other books more on the ancient Near East. The Zen Avesta, The Sacred Books of the East, Part 4. The Sacred Books of the East, Volume 31, The Zen Avesta. Religions of the Ancient Near East. The Mystical Dimensions of Islam, The Vishnu and Brahma, Part 1. The Myth of the Eternal Return on Cosmos and History. From Gautama Buddha and the Triumph of Christianity, Symbolism, the Sacred, and the Arts. And another guy that I've been watching a lot was somebody called Marshall Masters, who has the website Marshall Masters, what's the name of that? Yowza.com. He does a lot of videos on this dark star, Planet X, Nibiru the Destroyer. You can see his videos on YouTube, Marshall Masters, or his website, Yowza.com. So I want to just look at this for a moment. I found this webpage, and it has everything to do with the floods that we're talking about, and different people taking pictures of Nibiru, so they say that they can see. Listen to this. September 21st, 2017. Signs number 16. A possible fix on Nemesis. In this 16th installation of this series, we're going to take a look at the significant trends with the two data sets where we routinely track earthquakes of all magnitudes and fireballs. So all this fear-mongering about pole shifting, earthquakes, fireballs, weird stuff in the sky is part of this incoming Nemesis Nibiru with these beings, Anunnaki, who are apparently Palladians and reptilians and all those ancient depictions on the hieroglyphs all over the world about reptilian snake-like beings are related to this conversation. Just so you know why you're seeing all this stuff and all these stories, they are all connected. We're going to use 4 observations reported on our website to present a possible fix on the current location of Nemesis Brown. So that's another star, Earth star, our sun's binary twin, that apparently collides with another system every 3,600 years. So they would have us believe, not what I'm trying to teach and preach. I'm sharing what I'm reading and learning. I think there is a huge deception going on, and I think I can prove it. September 23rd possibilities. They were predicting the gloom and doom and the end of the world as we know it. September 23rd. It's come and gone. Is this a great sign? An informal conversation with Planet X researchers. Again, this is Marshall Masters on September 18th. We've collaborated on various research efforts for over a decade, and his work on the Bible in conjunction with many other ancient wisdom texts gives Dan a unique historical view of the past and the future. So it's almost like a marketing campaign, is they're giving us all these different angles of the reality of this Nibiru, Planet X, Earth changes, global warming, global cooling, climate change, pole shifting, earthquakes, volcanoes affecting our planet, bringing about a paradigm shift and trying to eliminate, destroy Christianity, Islam, and other religions for a one world order, one world religion, one world currency, like the Hunger Games movie. A return to some golden age where the Pharaoh had enslaved the ancient Hebrews. Are they trying to enslave the world's people again? Planet X has arrived, Marshall Masters, September 17th. Over the course of 3 consecutive days, the 8th, 9th, and 10th of September 2017, Amber Williamson of Clarksburg, West Virginia, videographed Nibiru at the sun's 11 o'clock position relative to the horizon. So that reminds me of the White Lives Matter, white supremacist KKK activities in Virginia and West Virginia, and also in Alabama, and then the Black White Lives Matter and the anti-fascist people show up. So they're attacking us from different angles, trying to create, incite hatred, so they can enact laws that saying hateful things will be illegal. Because it's not that they don't want you to talk about white or black people or Arabs or religion or gay people. They've got something else on their agenda. And once they make a hate crime, it applies to all hate. You won't be able to say negative things about Satan or Lucifer or witches or anything, government officials. Anything that's negative, you're causing problems. You're going to incite people, make them go crazy, maybe like Las Vegas, and start shooting people. You see how they're doing this? It's all with the mind. Got a little more here. Is there a Houston in your future? You see, it's all in the mind here. Marshall Masters, September 2nd. Hurricane Harvey is the worst storm to hit the Gulf Coast since Hurricane Katrina. And we had that hurricane guy in Las Vegas shooting everybody. And we have other shootings in other cities, and bombings, and threats of nuclear war with North Korea. They're ramping up. And it affects we people. It causes mental disturbances of the mind. What the government's doing. Why didn't the city of Houston order evacuation before the storm, which left over 30% of the city underwater? Perhaps the National Weather Service said it best. This event is unprecedented, and all impacts are unknown and beyond anything experienced. Another video here you can go watch. When you go on the YouTube and watch Nibiru Planet X videos, just type in Marshall Masters. You'll get his Yowza.com website or information, and then click his About page, click his name on the video or the site, and then go to his website and see all his videos, and you'll get this list. But he also was talking with Rex Bear and the Leak Project on August 13, 2017. His hot button issue for this interview was the trans-Newtonian Neptune objects, TNO, and why so many are being discovered as of late. So we got all kinds of incoming comments and other kinds of things they can see out there in space. And then another video, they got Planet X fear porn and insidious evil. They got pictures and all these videos and Okay. Then you got Nibiru is inside Earth's orbit. I kid you not, that's what it says there. So they're doing a lot of stuff, a lot of material out there. Videos, press releases in the newspapers, TV. A lot of people are in on this, all the secret societies all over the world. Nibiru observation at altitude foreshadows Bible and Hopi prophecy. Marshall Masters, Planet X Nibiru, Nemesis Cloud, Days of Darkness. Sign number 15, the Nemesis Cloud. We first began tracking fireball observations since publishing Planet X signs. Update number 1 by J.P. Jones on February 20th, 2015. Like I said, they've been doing this a while. 9/11, World War I, World War II, revolutions, destroying the forces, the Ottoman Empire that controlled the Middle East, destroying all the major countries, bombing the villages, bombing the town, killing the people, and deporting them into Europe and the United States in the middle of the night. So much going on. And all for this, apparently, new religion in returning people and planet. If you connect the dots, if you believe it's real. And they're continuing to give us this outrageous weather, apparently with cloud seeding, Dane Wigington, and all those other people reporting on weather warfare, weather control, HARP microwave transmitters, Gwen towers all over the ground with cobweb-like wires polarizing the ground, either attracting a storm or repelling a storm, or because you can change the polarity all over the ground, just like you can take magnets. In the subsequent signs, articles, and videos, we've reported a relentless statistical uptick in the fireball observations reported that the American Meteorite Society, the AMS, founded in 1911. The AMS is a reliable source. Talk about reliable sources. I'm almost done with this video. But I went on Yahoo search and I thought about a few words. Wanted to know how much material is out there. What are they doing? One of those words I looked up was population reduction. You can do this yourself. Don't believe me. Population reduction, Yahoo search. Global population reduction, confronting the inevitable. Prisonplanet.com, the population reduction agenda. I'm just going to do this briefly. You can go look it up. The point I wanted to make is 153 million results. See it on the bottom there? $153 million results. So there's a lot of convincing news by professors and all kinds of stuff on sustainability, biodiversity, that the planet is overrun with people. Why would they want us to believe that? And then I typed in the word New Age. New Age spirituality, religious tolerance. So it's all about religious tolerance and apparently population reduction. Isn't that odd? I don't think those two things go together, where they want to kill off 80-90% of the population. According to the Georgia USA Guidestones, they want a worldwide population of 500 million. So maybe these people who have been bombing the smithereens out of the Middle East, taking over the ancient sites for the return of the Anunnaki, reptilian, Palladian, Anunnaki beings with their hybrid humans, royal bloodlines, kings and queens and elites that control us. We got something coming. New Age alarms. That's just something on here. What is the New Age movement? Christian apologist. What New Agers believe. New Age movement. The Outspoken Daily. The New Age Store.com. My point here is, 523 million results. On the bottom. So you can look up the New Age. So we got the New Age and population reduction. Millions of results. Another word I looked up, the New World Order. The New World Order conspiracy theory. There's no conspiracy theory. You can go buy a book. You can go watch all the videos. You can see all the propaganda, weather control, flooding, wars, towns, cities bombed in the Middle East. All kinds of evidence if you watch some videos and do some research. Satanic, Luciferic rituals and symbols everywhere. But the New World Order conspiracy theory that they would have people believe. What is the New World Order? Got a picture of George Bush here and satanic NWO. Again, my point is 61 million results. On the bottom should be the results. All right. So I thought I would look up weather control. How much information is there on weather control? Weather control is no myth, according to this research results. Scientists engineer thunderstorms. Weather modification, Wikipedia. U.S. Air Force admits they can control the weather. I'm going to show you this. You're not going to believe me. The U.S. Air Force admits it can control the weather. So you can look up weather control. HAARP, W-A-A-R-P, weather control. Want to know the facts? The terrifying look at the control of the weather warfare. Can we control the weather? How stuff works, another website. Dr. Mucho Couto admits government, that guy you see with the fuzzy hair like Einstein on TV all the time, the scientist, admits weather control on CBS News. 279 million results. So when they control the weather and they cause droughts and floods, FYI, that changes the ground. It's like metal is larger when it's hot and contracts when it's cold. So on the ground, when they do that, they make it dry or wet or colder or hot. It expands and contracts, which causes earthquakes and all kinds of other problems. Along with the HAARP microwave transmitter, something they discovered that the Russians were doing when they were turning it off and on, banging it like a pulse. They called it the woodpecker. Anyways, when you take a sonic boom, like when you hear a jet do a sonic boom, they take those microwave transmitters and they pulse them. Boom, 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 boom. It vibrates the entire ground. You can't see it or probably hear it unless you get that ringing in your ear. Anyways, that can cause internal disruptions in the ground and cause earthquakes, along with other weapons, even nuclear devices under the ocean, etc. They are up to no good, so it seems. It has everything to do with these religions, ancient religions in the Middle East, the New Age and the New World Order, and these kinds of beings, hybrid entities, gray aliens, reptilians, Pleiadians, channeled material. And I'll be listening to more channeled material because they talk about this stuff. And these psychics are talking about to beings in another dimension or elsewhere with telepathy. And they're mentioning details about this stuff. So if you kind of know what's going on or think you know what's going on, you can pick up some stuff by listening to these different channelers. A bunch of famous ones out there. I've been going over it. We'll continue to go over it. The other word I looked up was Nibiru. And it says here, Nibiru, Planet X, Biblical Prophecy. Nibiru's Secrets Revealed, all kinds of videos you can watch if you look up Nibiru. And the results there were 16,200,000. Another word I looked up was pole shift. And it says here, pole shift hypothesis, Wikipedia. Pole shift the watchers. These are these beings. Pole shift thought column. So look up pole shift. You got all kinds of material here. And you can see that if there was an incoming planet, and it had a different polarity like a magnet, it would cause that magnet to shift or attract or repel. But also if they use Gwen towers on the ground and polarized the ground, or HARP transmitters and polarized all those heavy metals they dump in the sky, they probably could overcome Earth's natural magnetic field and cause it to shift. Nikola Tesla said he could crack the Earth in half and do these things. What can they do? And with these alien beings, hybrid humans, whatever, what do they know? And Nikola Tesla said he wasn't really a genius. He was hearing voices and seeing visions and having dreams. Somebody was communicating to Nikola Tesla, which is also the information I found out about a lot of famous people throughout history. They were psychic as children and were being communicated to by other beings, like all the channelers are being communicated with by other beings, and I've been making videos on those books. And I'll continue to do it. Anyways, pole shift was 22 million results. And another one I looked up was Inky hollow earth crop circles. So what do the crop circles have to do with these beings? Do they have anything to do with it? I think they have everything to do with it. It's always pictures of some kind of interaction of celestial bodies and other interesting symbols, which I'll show you here in a second. All right, 41 best Inky, 40 Marduk, 33 images. So apparently some of these crop circles have ASCII computer code they can interpret. They even have one crop circle that looked like an alien, a gray alien's face. And apparently in a rocket ship where they sent up some symbols into space, a crop circle showed up with some symbols in the ground that looked similar, but changed, like an answer to the message we sent into space. So whether that's just for public consumptions and the elites did it, or it was really some kind of beings, we'll still remain confused because they're not going to tell us the truth. But anyways, you can look up Inky hollow earth crop circle, crop circles extraterrestrial contact, Anunnaki aliens, crop circles honest, HARP circles misled, Enki speaks. So apparently there's 208,000 results on that one. Anyways, where I got that idea from is there was this crop circle. There's the website on the top there. So anyways, on the crop circle, it had all these zeros and ones, binary code. And it spells out, believe it or not, L Inky. On the top of this page, where my finger is, it says L Inky right here. L Inky. And if you read the letters and you go around this thing, it spells out on that binary code L Inky. And there's the website you can find this. So I'll look at this document for a second and end this video. 7-pointed star represents the 7 stars of the Pleiades. So I said the Pleiades appear to be the reptilians. According to channeled material, psychics communicating with other beings, even Barbara Marciniak and others. Go watch her videos or buy her books or watch my videos. I've been making numerous videos by different famous channelers. So you can hear the information firsthand for yourself. You know how I do book reviews. I read from the book and talk about it. Enki in Sumerian mythology is seen as a lamb underneath him, with a lamb underneath him. And this is at www.truthcontrol.com/pictures/Sumerian tablet Enki Great Satan. Enki Great Satan. Satan would be the same as Lucifer. Satan in the Bible was the serpent who tempted Adam and Eve. Then I saw a lamb, this is in the Bible apparently, looking as if it had been slain, standing in the center of the throne. So Jesus was known as the Lamb, and they crucified him, they slew him. He rose from the dead, the foundation of the Christian religion. Encircled by the 4 living creatures and the elders, he had 7 horns and 7 eyes. I showed you a picture of the whore of Babylon with the 7 heads on that creature. It was Freemasons in France that gave us this Statue of Liberty, who looks like Hermes, another god, doesn't look like a woman. So a lot of people put this stuff together before me. The Sumerian tablets are interpreted by them to tell us a story. What do the tablets really say? What do they want us to believe they say? So 7 eyes Pleiades, 7 horns Pleiades. So Enki is instantly linked with the hollow earth because he has a god in the abyss. Pleiadians in the hollow earth, 7-pointed star, is associated with Saturn worship as well. So Saturn worship, Saturn, Satan. Saturn represents Satan. Saturn has a ring around the planet. The statue has a ring around her head. They worship the sun, not the S-O-N, the S-U-N. A lot of corporate symbols, even Obama's logo symbol is a rising sun. Contactee Alex Collier talks about crop circles being messages being sent to the hollow earth, which have been intercepted by the crops leading outlines. So somebody is saying those crop circles are really messages beamed into the earth to the hollow earth. I've got so much here to do. Obviously, I'm going to have to do another video on this book. I've only read a couple pages. So anyways, there is a link below if you'd like to donate to my research. It does take a lot of my time, which interferes with me working elsewhere making money. Choice I have to make to continue doing this or do something else. So click the link below to my PayPal thing and help out. Go to my website, print out a list of my videos and make yourself a cheat sheet. And don't go watch my videos. Look at the author and the books. Look up those authors and go watch other videos. Just do something. Do some research and look into this. Because there is a huge deception. And it looks like things like that happened in Las Vegas are going to increase. Things that happened like the hurricanes in Florida and Texas are going to increase. Earthquakes like in Mexico are going to increase. They're dumping chemicals in the sky. They're using the HAARP microwave transmitters. They're bringing us the 6th generation telecommunication microwave transmission system that's supposed to hook up everything on the planet to microcomputers, to beast computers. They will know everything we do, everything we say. And even with Jade Helm 15 in 2015 with the military war exercises all over the U.S. and probably the world, they were testing software where computers will be making the decision on who lives and who dies whenever they do whatever they're going to do. Thank you for watching my video. Rick Marrico reporting.